Right, year 11. So, after skeletal system and muscles, we move on to the lever systems. Okay? Now, 3 levers in the body. The acronym that we use is FLEE to remember these. And what that actually allows us to remember is what goes in the middle. The GCSE might ask you to annotate a drawing of a lever. Okay, they might just give you that straight line and you have to put the 3 things on. So, what 3 things are we looking at first? Okay, we've got the acronym FLEE. Let's look at what FLE stands for. F stands for fulcrum. That's what joint's being used. E stands for the effort. This is the muscle that's being used, or muscles. All right. And then L stands for load. That's normally the object, be it a weight or a football. That's all down there on the key booklet. So let's look at these levers then in detail. So we've got a first class lever. So we're using that acronym FLEE. F is what's in the middle. FLEE stands for what's down the middle of that lever. F is fulcrum for the first one. So we've put effort and load either side. Now on here, they've got for effort on that side, load the fulcrum in the middle. They're both pointing down. The key one that they try and trip us up with is where these arrows are pointing. That's just done by memory, okay? If you can set it up, remember where FLEE goes. Doesn't matter how you put effort and load, which side that goes on, but the arrows do. Both pointing down in this one. Now, a great example, the only example really that they will ask us for is it's in the neck, it's in the head, okay? And that is normally heading a ball in football. So we're going from that position to there, okay? It's a simple movement, head back, head forward. First class lever, the key one that they will ask you about maybe for that, okay? Second class lever then, well let's use the acronym again, FLEE. So that says to me L, so load must go in the middle. Either side, well we know there's going to be a fulcrum and an effort, doesn't matter which side. They've gone for fulcrum there, load in the middle, effort on the other side. And again, the effort arrow is pointing up, the load is coming down in a second class lever, and the fulcrum is the joint. The example for this one is it's in the lower part of the leg. And again, there's no more of that in the human body, what we look at GCSE level, okay? Be careful, people will say the fulcrum's the ankle. It's not. The fulcrum is in the ball of the foot. So the fulcrum's the ball of the foot, the load is coming down, which is the human body itself, and the effort is your gastrocnemius, which is firing you that way. Great examples for this one are anything like a long jump, where you're jumping. It's normally a jumping action, so maybe jumping to head a ball in football, okay? If you're clever, that uses a second class lever for the jump, then if you're heading the ball, first class lever like we've just said. Moving on, third class lever, well using FLEE, again, E, that means effort's going to be in the middle, fulcrum's going to be on one side, load's going to be on the other. And in the third class lever, as you can see, fulcrum's over that side again, effort is pointing up in the middle, and the load coming down on the outside. Great example for this one is a bicep curl. Where I've got the dumbbell in my hand, the effort is my bicep, the fulcrum is my elbow joint, and the load is the weight in my hand, okay? And we're moving up. Could also be dragging someone again in rugby, something like that, holding the horse's reins in horse riding, something that uses that sort of movement, okay? Can also be in the legs as well, so your hamstrings and quadriceps moving together. Quite a tricky one. Moving on though, the next one, these catch some people out as well. Planes of movement, axes of rotation, okay? So we'll go this side, we'll look at the planes of movement first. So, the planes that we've got the frontal plane. That goes straight through your body, down the middle. It cuts my body in half if you're looking at me now. Okay? So I've got the front of my body and the back of my body. The frontal plane would be coming straight down my arm, straight down my leg, and be cutting me in front and back. The sagittal plane then, if I stand this way, will go straight down the middle of my body and it will cut me into left and right. That's the sagittal plane. The last plane is the transverse plane. Goes across my hips, that one. So it cut me into upper and lower body. So again, sagittal plane cuts me into left and right. Frontal plane cuts me into front and back. Great way to remember that. Frontal plane cuts you into front and back. Transverse plane cuts me across the middle there. Okay? So, movements in the frontal plane then are anything sideways movements. Abduction, adduction. Maybe a great example would be some sort like that. Maybe a star jump. Anything in that sort of movement there, okay? You could argue a goalkeeper diving sideways to save a ball. Transverse plane, and that's this plane in the middle. What we're looking at there are rotational movements. So it could be the throwing action with the shoulder, okay, because I'm going from here, turning my hips through, I am moving across that part of my body. Sagittal plane, we are looking at movements, that up and down movements. So it could be a somersault in trampolining, okay? I've gone forward, I'm rotating over. Moving on, axes of rotation. Now you've got to be careful, don't confuse these. They use the same words. Again, it's the GCSE trying to trip you up. We've got the frontal axes. All axes mean is anything rotating around it. So imagine we use jelly babies. Imagine a pull through the middle of that jelly baby. We use a cocktail stick, didn't we? So, frontal axes then. That's rotating in that forward sort of motion again. So a somersault is a great example of that one. Okay? Then we've got the transverse axes. Goes through the middle of your body here through your hips, just like the transverse plane did. Okay? And that one is a cartwheel sort of motion around that one. And the last one, the longitudinal, imagine that as the longest axis, straight from the top of your head right the way to the ball of your feet. Any sort of movement there, we've got like a 360 twist. Now I'm sure you want to see me do a ballerina twist like on there, but basically a twist around of the body. That is on the the longitudinal axes. Transverse one is that cartwheel style motion, and then the frontal one is where you're going forwards. Remember that, frontal axis is front rotation. The others, it's not as tough. Okay? Quite a tough topic to get used to. Watch this video over once or twice, it'll help you out. But, you know, your best thing, even if you get the axes, get them, I said to you about jelly babies, put a pole through, a little cocktail stick, practice twirling them on that, get that feel for it.